Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me today on this winter knitting inspiration video. I've got 4 different areas to chat about today. Area 1 is my monochrome era, and I've got loads of patterns for that to show you. I've also got my Festive Fancies inspiration, which if you don't know what a Festive Fancy is, I'll explain later. I also have Understated Christmas, and I have accessories. Some of these are old patterns, some of these are new patterns, some of them aren't out yet, but they're all ones that I personally like the look of. So it's not exactly following a style trend, but it's just stuff that I've seen and liked myself. So hopefully you'll like them too. So I think we'll start with my monochrome era. Here we go. So my first area of inspiration is, I'm going to call it my monochrome era. Basically I'm seeing quite a lot of like monochromatic patterns and things that are kind of taking my eye. I've seen this beautiful weaving by the Wonky Weaver, and it was on the Natural Fibre Company's Instagram page. I also seen and bought this gingham dress from Toast, which was quite a splurge. I also, when I went into the Toast in Bath, and I also seen this beautiful marled knitted jumper. It was a very mild marl. You couldn't really tell if you stood far away that it was marled. So all of these things have definitely been inspiring me lately, and I have got quite a few patterns here to share with you in this kind of area of inspiration. There's obviously overlap between this and the other areas too. So the first pattern I have to share with you is Counting Stars by Diana Logue. And this is a pattern that I seen on Instagram and thought, wow, that's really beautiful. It's just quite a plain jumper with some rib detailing on it, but it's got this beautiful embroidery, and they kind of look like flowers to me. I think it's supposed to be stars if you're going by the name, but to me, if you left off the middle dot, they would look like snowflakes, and to me that is like so wintry and lovely. Yeah, so basically I feel kind of bad for sharing this because it's quite hard to get the hold of this pattern because it's in a book, and the book is only published, I think, in Danish or Swedish or something. So we might have to wait for the release of that as an individual pattern on Ravelry. But I just thought it was really pretty, so I wanted to show it to you anyway. Even if you can't knit it, you can just let it inspire you. Maybe you want to take some embroidery elements and refresh a piece of knitwear that you already have. So that's the first pattern. Second one is the Lume by Sari Nordland. It's a worsted weight colourwork jumper. The sample I seen was done in black and white, and it's inspired by Finnish forest ponds. And I just love, I'm seeing quite a lot of the flower motif. It's also in something similar in Albina's One Ear, and I seen it in something else, but I can't remember now. And yeah, don't know if I said this is worsted weight, so I'll try and put some yarn suggestions if I think my yarn would be suitable for the pattern. I'll maybe try and put a QR code here or something to take you to the webpage. Get a wee cup of tea. Sorry for everyone who doesn't like my slurping, but I'm me. So next pattern in my monochrome era is the Chantilly cardigan by Laura Penrose. This is a pattern that's been out for a while, but it recently caught my eye again when I seen someone did a black and white version of it, which I think is so cool, very chic. It's knitted at an iron weight gauge, holding 2 strands of lace for the body and 1 strand for the frill. So it's knitted at a very loose gauge, so the fabric would be very light, so you probably wouldn't want to use anything heavy for this. Probably not like a classic iron weight like I use for this. I'll get onto this later. But yeah, it's something that you could maybe knit in something like Garthanor's lace weight. I think that could work really well. Or you probably just could knit it in like a fingering weight. I actually have a really nice Swarbles and Blue Texel in the shop, which could be really cool. But obviously you'd need to swatch and see if it would be suitable for this at that gauge. But yeah, really cool. Love it in black and white. I think it works really well. Pattern number 4 is the Sarang sweater by Ego. This is not a designer I'm overly familiar with, but I have seen a few of their patterns popping up now and again. This one was sent to me by my sister-in-law actually. It was knitted in Petite Lambswool by Bichet Bouche and silk mohair, and it's 21 stitches per 10 centimeters, which is about a DK gauge. So I think you could definitely, you've probably got something in your stash that you can maybe knit with this with. It's got really nice texture detail, and it's an interesting combination of cables and lace. That's not something you see very often, and sometimes if you see it, to me visually it doesn't quite work, but to me this is quite cool and it works pretty well. Definitely it's obviously one colour, but I think the term monochrome can incorporate one colour or different values of one colour, or I don't think tones of one colour, but maybe I should explain all these terms in like another video or something. But anyway, it's knitted in this very nice creamy off-white, and I think it looks really chic and would be a very nice knit. Next one is this, the sweater number 18 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. It was originally knitted in a light colour. I used my Causeway and natural sock held together. The Causeway yarn is a finger and weight yarn, it's woolen spun and it's undyed. And the natural sock, I natural dyed it a very pale, pinky, pebbly, taupey colour, and I held them together. It's also finger and weight, so together they make a really nice iron weight gauge. The natural sock is worsted spun, so you get drape and you get airiness, and it is just, the combination is just so good. I really enjoyed knitting this. I went into it in a lot of detail in my last podcast episode, but the gauge is 16 stitches per 10 centimeters. My next pattern is the Billy Cardigan by Sari Norland. This pattern, I've actually never knitted anything by Sari Norland myself, but I noticed this popping up on my Instagram feed by Jess L. Jacobs, and she had posted a really beautiful black and white photograph of her finished Billy cardigan, and it really caught my eye. I thought that looks really, really nice. I'm not sure what she knitted it in, but it is worsted weight. A lot of the patterns I'm going to be talking about are worsted weight or DK weight, a bit heavier weight winter kind of knits. And the gauge is 20 stitches per 10 centimeters. So I think the cables, this is like a very quintessential classic Aran looking cardigan, I would say. I don't actually have one of these in my wardrobe myself, so maybe it's one that I need to consider. And I haven't really knitted many cables, so maybe I need to do some cabling. The next sweater that I have chosen is the Badger and Bloom by Anne Vensel. This is a bulky weight at 16 stitches for 10 centimeters. So I don't know if she's knitted it at a slightly tighter gauge, but this is the same gauge as I knitted this at. So you could also use the same yarn for this. And she has done it in the two colours, which I think look really good. The base colour is it's kind of like a beigey taupey colour, I would say, rather than white maybe. But I just think it's a pattern that looks really good in this monochrome combination. If I was knitting it, I would maybe leave off the pattern detail on the sleeves possibly. But this particular photo here in which she was wearing it really caught my eye. I thought, yeah, that looks really good. The last pattern in the monochrome era inspiration is the Woodland Animals Shawl by Janice Hope. It's a DK weight pattern at 20 stitches per 10 centimeters, and I know you're all going to wonder how many skeins does this take? So it takes 8 100-gram skeins in the black and 6 100-gram skeins in the white. The yarn it was originally knitted in came in, I think, 50 gram balls, so I just converted that there for you. But this would obviously be a really epic knit, but can you imagine giving this to maybe a child? They would love it so much. There's so much detail in it, and it's definitely like an heirloom piece. It would be an absolutely epic knit at 800 grams plus 600 grams, what's that? 1400 grams. Nearly 1.5 kilos of yarn. It would be super epic, but it would look amazing. Gonna do festive fancies. So if you don't know what a festive fancy is, or a French fancy I should say, because this is where I got this idea, all of these patterns I've chosen have, or a lot of them have, little bits of colour, or there's colour work, or bits of colour put together, or something like that. And they really reminded me of French fancies, but Christmas French fancies, so I've called them festive fancies. So I'm going to start with the Crystalline Cardigan by Soo-Min Kim. This is not a pattern that's out yet, but it's one that Soo-Min Kim did in collaboration with Biche. It's a DK weight pattern, and it's 22 stitches per 10 centimeters. Now this is where it gets kind of interesting. So it comes in 2 sizes, which doesn't seem like very much, but there's quite a large range between the 2 sizes. So it comes in 117 centimeters as the finished chest size, which is 46 inches. That's the smaller size. And the larger size comes in 155 centimeters, which is 61 inches. And I think she wore the smaller size in the photos, and there was quite a lot of ease in it, and it looked great, to be honest. This pattern is customizable basically, because you can knit different sleeve lengths, obviously with the colour work. Then she gives instructions for doing that, what pattern repeats to do, etc. The body length is also customizable. I think she gives instructions for that. And yeah, I think it looks like a really pretty pattern. Something that I would very much enjoy wearing. And you could knit it in my Hearth DK, or you could hold the Causeway yarn double and use natural stock maybe as the contrast colour. You could obviously add in more colours than just the one, but I think the blue and white is really classic winter, and it looks really, really good. Next pattern I'm going to talk about is the Celeste sweater by Petite Knit. Unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you've seen this pattern about. It's a DK weight pattern, 20 stitches per 10 centimeters, and you need 5 colours in total. When this pattern first came out, it didn't attract me at all. To me, the colours in the original just didn't sing together well. So it wasn't something that it didn't catch my eye at all. So on my Instagram feed, Gould, the natural dyers from Denmark, they popped up on my feed with one they were knitting, and I just went, wow, suddenly this pattern makes sense to me. So that is what you're seeing here. I just think the really bright pops of colour with the white looks so good. And to me, this pattern has come alive, whereas before it just didn't do it for me. So yeah, check out their yarns as well. I hear they're very lovely. The next pattern I want to talk about is the Hattie Yoke by Ella Gordon. It is knit in Jameson & Smith 2-ply jumper weight. It is in the Shetland Wool Week Annual 9, so it's only in that Wool Week Annual at the moment. It's not an individual pattern, I don't think. It's cropped, and the colour work yoke definitely reminds me of some sort of Festive Fancies or French Fancies or something. And the total number of colours I didn't write down, but it's probably at least 6, I would say. And with the Jameson and Smith comes in 25-gram balls, so that's no problem. Would also work with mini skeins, I think. And this is definitely one I would consider knitting to go over the gingham dress that I got. And because it's cropped, I think that would work really well. Ella Gordon has a real eye for colour, and yeah, she just has an innate way of putting colours together. I think a lot of the Shetland knitters really have that ability. Yeah, they're so good at that. Next one is the Dorema sweater by Jennifer Steingass. The photo I put in here is not the original, as is a lot. I don't always get inspired by the original photos that people take. But this one, the original was knitted in 2 colours, and it just didn't do it for me. Colour work with 2 colours isn't, I don't know, I think if it's yoked, it's not always like super exciting. I don't know. I'll not put out any big controversial knitting opinions, but I think when 3 or 4 colours in this version that I seen, when those extra colours were put in, to me this pattern came alive, and it really visually to me made it a lot more aesthetically pleasing. So yeah, this is one that would be nice to knit. It's iron weight. It was originally knitted in Let Lobe, and it's 19 stitches per 10 centimeters. The next pattern I would like to talk about is the Tack 6 Clues by Hazel Tyndall. It was in the Shetland Wool Week Annual this year again, and it uses 6 colours of Jamesons of Shetland 4-ply, and it would be really good for mini skeins, I think. And it's a super visually attractive pattern. The colours just sing together, and I think it just looks fabulous. I would really like to knit a pair for myself. Yes, the motif on the front is really lovely as well, and there's so many pairs of colour work mittens that I could knit, so I need to get on that, I think. Hazel Tyndall has, again, a real eye for colour like Ella Gordon, and I think the idea with this mitts was she took 6 balls of Jameson and Smith, and she tried to see how many different combinations of the pattern that she could knit with it. So as the green is the main colour, as the yellow is the main colour, etc, etc. So you can see that on Ravelry, her different options. The next pattern I have hasn't got a name, but it's by Tammy Gore. It's a new pattern that she's designing currently, and I seen it on her Instagram feed and asked a little bit about it. So it is worsted weight, and as you can see, it's using a lot of different little bits of colour. And I seen this and was like, this looks like a really Moorish pattern. All those wee bits of colour to me just look like you just want to get to the next colour when you're knitting it. So this is definitely one that will be going on my knit list when it comes out. It's kind of minimal, but it also, obviously I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know how she's going to finish it, but from what I'm seeing on Instagram, looks quite like minimal, but like with those little interesting bits of colour, so I love that. The next pattern is the Christmas Kit by Sky Knits. It's a 4-ply weight pattern. It was originally knitted in the Border Mills something. It's knitted very tight. It's 29 stitches per 10 centimeters, obviously because it's a cap. You want it to keep you really warm, and Sky Knits has done a few versions of this type of cap, which I definitely intend to knit one in my future, maybe not too far in my future to be honest. And it takes 9 colours, so if you have mini skeins, if you have scraps, this is going to be a really good one. Obviously the Christmas one is done in like red, green, white, different variations of those colours, looks really good, but you could also knit it in other colours. Pattern number 8 in this section is the Daft Days cardigan by Rebecca Clow. It's a DK weight pattern and it's 21 stitches per 10 centimeters. And basically with this one you can use as little as 2 colours or as many as like 15, as many stripes as you're going to do. You can use a different colour for each stripe. This pattern has just been released and I think Rebecca's version is my favourite that I've seen. I like her subtle variations in colour, and definitely again it has all those little Moorish bits of different colours, so to me that's a very attractive thing because you'll just want to knit the next bit. So that's one you can check out in Ravelry. Number 9 is Familia Kofta by Kofta Booking. This is a book, I think, yeah, the pattern's in this Kofta Booking too, I think it is. Again, couldn't find really any information about the pattern, so you'll just have to let this one inspire you. It's you could definitely knit it in more than the 2 colours, but there's something about the shapes of the motif reminded me of the French Fancies or the Festive Fancies. I don't have any information on the weight of yarn, but you can maybe contact the designer if you're desperate to knit it. Number 10 and the last in this section is the Island to Island Vest by Mary Jane Mucklestone. This is in the book she just recently released with Gudrun Johnson and Lane Publishing. Oh, sorry, not Lane, Lina. Don't know why I said Lane. And I think the book's called the Grand Shetland Adventure Book. It's a sport weight pattern and there's 4 colours in it, but for some reason when you look at it, it looks like there's more than that. I think it's a clever looking pattern and it's obviously a vest, so maybe not totally appropriate for winter, but you could wear it with a long sleeve wool turtleneck or something below. It's 28 stitches per 10 centimeters, and yeah, it looks, again, all those little bits of colour are very Moorish, and I love the little motifs. It's really beautiful. The next section I would like to talk about is Understated Christmas. So this is kind of not over the top Christmas, but stuff like you could wear to maybe like a party or just like more casual, I guess, as well. I don't know, this is just all stuff that I like that I find it a little bit hard to categorize. So like understated winter, but slightly festive. So the first one I seen was the Rosemary Cardigan by Amy Christoffers, who's Savoury Knitting. This is a worsted weight pattern at 15 stitches per 10 centimeters. And I think there's something about rosemary and winter that rosemary really reminds me of winter. I don't know why. Obviously the colour of this cardigan was very attractive to me. I'm having a green moment, and I just think it looks really nice. And the colours, if you look closely at the pattern photographs, you can see that there's a nice little variation in the yarn colour. So it's some like more warmer greens and cooler greens, and it looks very beautiful, and it looks like a super cozy thing just to knit and wear. The second pattern I have is the Anjou sweater by Skinny Dippin'. It's in Pom Pom 47, which, am I right in thinking that was their last in-print edition of the magazine? I might be wrong about that. It's worsted weight and it's 18 stitches per 10 centimeters. And ever since I saw this, I just went, I love that so much. It's got such a nice texture. It kind of looks like woven or something like that, but I was kind of looking at some of the pictures. I think it showed the construction in one of the pictures. I think it starts from the back, which I love that construction, and also with all the knits and purls, and I'm not exactly sure what the technique is used for knitting this, but I just think it would be very addictive to knit. So this is definitely one that I would consider knitting, maybe in this combination of yarns, a slightly darker colour and a slightly lighter colour maybe, but this is definitely one that I like the look of. It comes in this nice chartreuse colour in the pattern, and also this like different tones of blue, which I think is really, really nice looking as well. And I would definitely add this to my wardrobe. Number 3 is the Lace Polo by Me Fairing. This is from the book called Gentis, and Me Fairing's name on Instagram is Spectacle Strick. This is actually lace weight, and the thing about this pattern that caught my eye was the little red detail on the collar. I think that's festive, but definitely understated. It's not like, it's not too much. And I forgot to say about the Anjou, the thing that I thought about it was like present wrapping. It kind of looks like something like folded paper, or like, I don't know, there's just something about that to me that reminds me of that. Yes, and I couldn't get a whole lot of information about this one again because it's in this book, and I'm not sure if the book's in English or not, but I'm guessing it uses lace weight yarn. I'm guessing it's probably mohair in the 2 different colours. This, if you can't get the hold of this pattern, this is definitely a detail that you could put on to any collar, on any jumper that you've knitted. I think you could even crochet it on. I think that'd be really cool too. The next item I have on my list for this Understated Christmas section is the Stornoway Sweater by Coco Amour Knitwear. It is an iron weight pattern at 17 stitches per 10 centimeters, and it is in testing currently. You could use this combination of yarns for the Stornoway sweater. It's got 2 different colours, and it actually looks a little bit like this, but it's got straps. And I just thought it was that little bit of green with a little bit of beigey off-white has a little bit of festiveness without being over the top. So that's one to watch out for when it comes out. Number 4 is the Haze Sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl. This is a free pattern, and it's knitted at an iron weight gauge, 20 stitches per 10 centimeters, and it was originally knitted in Let Loopy. This to me is like definitely Christmassy, wintry, and a little bit festive. I think there's something about the motif on the yoke that looks a little bit like the way frost and what's that called, fractals. It reminded me of that, and I thought, yeah, that looks definitely a little bit wintry without being over the top. It's kind of like stripped down, understated winter. And the last pattern in this section is the Lupin Sweater by Hannah Rimmon. It's a worsted weight pattern, and it's 18 stitches per 10 centimeters. And obviously the yoked motif definitely has festive vibes to me. It reminds me of like branches on like a Christmas tree, or like baubles, or like a garland or something like that. So that's one to check out. I'm now at my last section, which is accessories. So I'll just start straight in. I couldn't find anything in particular that linked all of these things, but definitely the first one I'm going to talk about is the Stella Quilt Cushion by Laura Penrose. I've been definitely attracted to this kind of patchwork look recently. I've seen it on the Toast website. They had a beautiful patchwork cushion cover, and I've seen patchwork in various different other places that, yeah, I'm now seeing, oh yes, it was by the cardigan by, I forget now the name, but it's like patchwork looking cardigan. It was very popular. It was out a few months ago. Heirloom cardigan, is that what it's called? Heirloom quilt cardigan maybe? So I'm seeing a bit of this, and it's really cool. So Stella Quilt Cushion by Laura Penrose is really a very smart design, because she uses I'll explain. Laura got my advent calendar last year, and she used yarn from that to design this pattern. She used 8 out of the 12 20 gram minis, and she had it in a main colour. I think it was Ficolana something. And she has options for an iron weight version and a DK weight version. So the 20 gram minis for my advent calendars, they're all 4-ply, but she holds them double, and she used 8 of them to do the colours. And the cool thing about this pattern is I think you can do the stars in different ways, like to make a different motif, which is really cool. And she's also got some clever closing ideas for the back. I think you can either sew it in, or you can do one with like more like an envelope flap. So that's a really good one to check out if you're getting an advent calendar, a 12-day advent. The second one is also by Laura Penrose. It's the Maxine hot water bottle cover. And this pattern, I think, is coming out this week. She used, again, some of my minis for this, along with some other yarn that she had, I think. And yes, you can knit it in, I think it's a DK weight pattern. You can also hold your mini skeins double if they're finger and weight to get the same gauge. This would also be a good scrappy project, as would the Stella quilt cushion. And there's options for 6 or 3 colours in the pattern, and that is delightful. So there's a lot of potential there if you're wanting to knit this. And again, hot water bottle covers are, if you don't know what hot water bottle is, Google it. I know they're not in every country, but they're definitely here in the UK. And honestly, I knitted one last year and it's totally elevated my life. It's so lovely. Next pattern is the Bosca by Jonathan Days. This is a cool little pattern. I think it's Jonathan Days' first pattern. I came across it in Ravelry on the new designers area that you can look at. It's a DK weight pattern and it uses 2 colours, but you could definitely fiddle about with the gradient on the brim. It's 23 stitches per 10 centimetres, so yeah, this would be, I'd say it would probably be not a very, it wouldn't be too slow to knit this. It would be quite a fun little knit. The fourth pattern I have in the accessories section is the Baby Penguin by Claire Garland. This is a lace weight pattern. It's a really super cute little penguin. It's something that I would probably knit for my little girl, that she would probably love, and it's actually knitted flat, which might put some people off, but it's so tiny that it probably takes no time at all to knit. It does use a few different colours, and I think she actually, in the sample, she put wire in the wings so you could move the wings around. So that's just something that would look really cute, like even sitting on your mantelpiece or on your Christmas tree. And the last pattern of this winter knitting inspiration video is the Wild Rabbit, also by Claire Garland. It's a worsted weight pattern, and again, same as before, it's probably something I knit for my little girl. It's just definitely has woodland vibes, nature, winter nature, yeah, that type of thing. I've actually never knitted a toy before, so I don't know what the experience of knitting that would be compared to a garment, but it's something that I would maybe consider, and keeping it as a special like heirloom piece to pass on. So that is everything I have here. Like I said, I'm going to put what I can in a Ravelry bundle, and you can check it out below. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that it gave you some inspiration, and I hope that you've got your cup of tea, mine is nearly cold, and a nice cozy fire in your house. Thanks for watching, and a Vlogmas is starting soon, so a little note about Vlogmas, I'm going to be doing it a little bit, not every day, just whenever I feel like it, if I have something nice to show you. So watch out for that, and I will see you again soon. Bye.